so much for joining us. This is Business Day and I am Judy Ngulube. Today our focus is on the French Zambian Chamber of Commerce and the upcoming economic conference whose theme is diversification of the Zambian economy, perspective for foreign investment. Now, very interesting because this is what the opening of Parliament speech by President Edgar Chagwa Lungu was all about. He talked about how economic diversification plays a very important role, especially for a developing country like ours. I'm very excited and I'm glad to have a various number of guests come through today to talk about this economic diversification. My guests today are a wealth of information when it comes to talking about economic diversification. I'm very glad to host His Excellency, Mr. Sylvain Berger, who is the ambassador of France to Zambia and the FZCC honorary president. I also have Dr. Caleb Fundanga, who is president of the Institute for Finance and Economics and is also the keynote speaker at the upcoming conference. And of course, very glad to host Mr. Alexander Degre, who is the executive director of FZCC. FZCC, kindly introduce it for us.
Thank you, Judy. Good evening. Bonsoir. Let me introduce you FZCC, which is the French Zambian Chamber of Commerce. It's a new chamber. We've been incorporated last year and fully operating since September 2018. So that's been 1 year ago. Our main objective, we aim at supporting the development of economic relations between Zambia and France. That's also according to the new policy of Emmanuel Macron, our president. We want to create new ties with Africa, and there is economic dynamism now on the whole continent. So that's the moment for this, you know. So our main focus is on promoting the business interests of both French and Zambian companies. That's why we are not only the French Zambian Chamber of Commerce, but French and Zambian Chamber of Commerce. That's really important. That's bilateral. So we are trying to create and insist on links between Francophone, not only French, but all Francophone entrepreneurs and companies, and local Zambian entrepreneurs. For 1 year now, we have now 50 registered members. Among them are some really large companies, international companies. For instance, our board members, we have 3 big French companies. We are leaders in their field of activities like Total, Lafarge, and Bollore Logistics. They are all French companies, world leader in their sector. We have His Excellency Sylvain Berger, Ambassador of France to Zambia, who is our honorary president. And most of our members, let's say half, are from French incorporated companies, but the second half is Zambian. So we have a mix of corporate, large companies, internationally represented, and local companies, SMEs. We want to focus as well on SMEs because that's the rich part of the Zambian economy, and that's the most dynamic part. And also we have some individuals and entrepreneurs. That could be self-entrepreneur, consultant, students. So we're open to all the memberships. And we want to create new growing networks. That's why we are focusing on organizing events, networking events. And in this matter, the next conference, the first conference we are organizing this year, the first economic conference will be taking place next week.
Exciting things happening. Thank you so much for that description. I go to Ambassador Berger.
Thanks a lot.
We
So,
appreciate you being here as well.
thank you. And about this Chamber of Commerce, I'm the honorary president. It is tradition. Ambassadors cannot be involved in the daily execution of the running of an institution. I am the same honorary president of Alliance Française. You know, this famous cultural institution in Lusaka and elsewhere worldwide. So, honorary president, it means that I just contribute, inspire, stimulate, support when necessary the job. But the job is perfectly done by the board and the executive team and the director of the Chamber of Commerce. Why did we start this Chamber of Commerce? When I arrived 2 years ago, Alexandre Degre came to me and told me at the first cocktail I organized for the French community living in Lusaka, and told me we need a Chamber of Commerce. We don't have a Chamber of Commerce. And I fully agreed with him. I was previously serving in Turkey. In Turkey, we had a Chamber of Commerce since 1880. It means 140th anniversary, I think, this year of this chamber in Turkey. And here, no chamber. We have Business France. Business France is a public agency from France promoting trade, promoting investments, and they, by the way, support ZDA, which is your similar agency on that. They work together well to promote exports of Zambia to Europe. But here we had no Chamber of Commerce. There is the EU Zambia Business Club. It is a lobbying club with European companies. I think there are now 140 companies, including almost 20 French. But they are not a chamber. They are not a Euro chamber. They are promoting the relations between French European companies and Zambian companies and Zambian authorities, but they are not a real chamber.
Dr. Fundanga, as president of the Institute of Finance and Economics, what brought about the collaboration with the FZCC to just bring about this economic conference?
Well, I must say, at the time when the chamber was established last year, I just returned from Zimbabwe where I had been working, and then I met Alex, a good old friend. We met when I was working in Cote d'Ivoire some 20 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So I know him and his wife very well. They are family friends. So as we were talking, he told me about the chamber, and I was excited. And we started looking at possibilities for collaboration, and the cocktail the ambassador just talked about, I attended the cocktail and met quite a number of the members, and I was impressed. I thought perhaps there is a lot we can do in order to foster economic development if business people from both France as well as Zambia get together and discuss on possibilities for joint ventures and that kind of thing. So that's what drew me to the chamber. Of course, I've had a lot of discussions with His Excellency, and we agreed that it was the best way to go. So I was asked, therefore, to be the main speaker at the forthcoming conference. And I hope this is just the beginning of the collaboration between the chamber as well as my institute.
When you see a conference being birthed from what was discussed from an idea, how does it make you feel, especially that you're an ambassador from France in Zambia and seeing such collaborations?
I'm very happy to have the chamber because first, we have many companies here, but they know each other, but they don't work as much as a team. And to have a pivotal role of the Chamber of Commerce with the French companies is very, very useful, so that they can work together as a team again. We have good cooperation also with ZACI, the Chamber of Commerce of Zambia. But what we want is to develop the links between the French companies and the Zambian companies. I think what is missing mainly in Zambia is joint ventures. There are not many joint ventures between French companies and Zambian companies. And in Turkey, again, where I served before, it was a the core of the business there. And I think there is a lot of potential for joint ventures in Zambia. And I think it's good to have cooperation between Zambians and French companies. But I'm very happy if I can leave this legacy, this contribution during my stay in Zambia. And I hope in 20 years, 40 years, 60 years, people will still remember of this birth of the Chamber of Commerce and the first big event with Dr. Caleb Fundanga.
Up next, I will be talking to Mr. Olivier Terra. He is the Managing Director, Bollore Logistics. He'll be joining us on set as I still keep talking to Dr. Fundanga as well as Mr. Degre. Thank you so much for still watching Business Day. We are joined on set by Bollore Logistics. Their Managing Director, Olivier Terra, is here with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Judy. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
How are the logistics doing?
Strong.
When we talk about diversification of the economy, when starting the program, I did talk about how the opening of Parliament recently in Zambia here did have an emphasis on this. What does it mean to you, especially when you put in perspective Zambian and French companies?
You're very right. I think this is a key topic, and I'm very glad that the Chamber of Commerce and agreed with Caleb Fundanga, Dr. Caleb Fundanga, to discuss about this topic, because this topic is key to economy. Since independence of Zambia, it has been said, I understand, that Zambia has to diversify from copper production, mining industry. I think it's still the case, because I think something like 70 or 80% of the revenue of exports are coming from mining activities. Then it is still the topic for today. Also, there was a strong dependency on maize production in agriculture, and still Zambia is too dependent on maize production, and also hydroelectricity. Zambia is still too much dependent on hydroelectricity, and we can see it now because you have the drought, you have less water in the Kariba Dam, problems for load sheddings. So monodependency on copper and mining minerals, monodependency almost on maize, and then on hydro. So Zambia has to diversify, and there are plenty of possibilities to diversify in the agriculture, to diversify in the energy sources, to diversify in the industry, not only the mining industry. There are plenty of possibilities, plenty of potential, which is not used sufficiently.
When we talk of what you are as a company and your affiliation to the FZCC, as well as how you got involved in just sponsoring this event, how do you come in there?
Well, we, as members of the Chamber of Commerce, we want to promote the business interest of the members. We want to help this networking, and we want to identify the areas of growth. So our ambassador spoke about the diversification. You can't do diversification from scratch. You have to have new ideas, you have to have new skills. So you're bound to work with joint ventures, like we mentioned. So you have to bring some external assistance into this. And that's what the Chamber does. It bridges that gap. It helps to, to link the partners from both sides, so that we can promote the investments into Zambia, so that we can also promote the Zambian investors that want to go to France. So we work on the attractiveness of both parties, both the French economy and what makes it work for a Zambian investor to go to France and penetrate to the European market. But we also do the same. So the French investors that want to come into Zambia, we help them with practical, real stories, success stories in Zambia. Understand the challenges, because it's not always easy. And yes, it's a very an economy that is very dependent on the copper and the cobalt and the mining extraction, a bit of agriculture, but this diversification that is key to all of us, it needs to really take shape in the form of those collaborations and joint ventures. It's not a one-sided affair. No, and it's not an easy one to do, when you
in this case, which then is your unique selling point as Bollore?
Well, We only have here the activity of logistics, but Bollore has many different sectors of activities. We're also present in media, in the cultural field, through Vivendi. And we're also working on a project, more cultural project in Zambia, which is the Canal Olympia project. It's a concept, it's a sort of multicultural platform with a cinema and a live stage so that we can identify some talents in Zambia, so Zambian talents, that we will then expose to other audiences in West Africa. So, we don't offer only just trucks and the logistics and the supply chain. We like to be able to offer a little bit more than that, which doesn't mean to say that we don't continue to invest in Zambia in different fields. And the logistic one is another one that we want to continue investing in. And I'm thinking about the rail, for example, to be compliant with the SI7 from the Minister of Transport. So there's a vast array of activities.
Very interesting touch there, the socio-economic, just this very holistic approach. Dr. Fundanga, the conference being based on your research, shed more light on this research that you carried out and how it just brings out this and then the event as well.
A very big project, a research project on the history of the Zambian economy. I don't think a lot of work has been done on this matter. And we are starting. This is a project which is going to last perhaps a number of years. But this is the beginning of that. But at the center of our history since independence is, as His Excellency explained, we have always been talking about diversification of the economy. But yet, we haven't diversified. If anything, even some of the industries which were started earlier have disappeared. So when I met the chamber, I thought we have a unique opportunity to put diversification of the economy in practice. Because, let's take, for instance, Bollore Transport and Logistics. They are actually very active in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And they can go there and do a lot of business. Why? Because they speak the French language. And yet, that is one of the biggest and most lucrative markets just next to us. If there are some Zambian entrepreneurs that have been struggling to go to that market officially, to do official business, I think partnering Bollore would be the best way of entering into that market. So we can be able to export, not smuggle, but export officially. And they can ride on the back of a successful global company from France, which is very active in that market. That's one reason. But let's look at France itself. If you want to export something to France, as a Zambian entrepreneur, the knowledge you need, especially that you can't even speak French, it's just going to cost you a lot of money and probably the whole of your lifetime before you can actually understand.
I see the ambassador nodding here,
Before you
agreeing
can
to that,
both
isn't
nodding.
it?
We both nodding.
Nodding, yes. It is true.
But if you are working with a French company, they already know the market. They will tell you whether that thing will share or not. They will tell you if you need to modify it a little bit in order that it can meet the very discerning tastes of the French consumer. So that is the kind of thing which you can't just get operating on your own.
You're still watching Business Day, and it's chats like this that definitely make the program. And this is what we are all about, talking about collaborations, a global village, and talking how Zambian and the French can actually collaborate and make both our economies better. You're still watching Business Day. Thank you so much for still watching Business Day. Remember, today it's a French-Zambia affair as we talk about everything trade, business, collaboration, as well as economic development for both countries. I'm very glad that we're joined by two gentlemen. Ernest Mfula, who is coming from Total Zambia Limited. He is the head retail and digital, as well as Alex Ehui. He is Country Chief Executive from Bureau Veritas. They joined the panel to discuss what we've been talking about, and they bring some spice from their end as well. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. So I'll start from the far end there. Bureau Veritas, when it comes to issues of your affiliation with the French Zambian Chamber of Commerce, as well as just your interest in sponsoring this event, tell us about that.
Thank you, Digit. It starts from the fact that we, Bureau Veritas, came into this country to create proximity, right, with our customers, our dear customers. And then we also need to notice on the second hand that Bureau Veritas is a French-based company. It's actually French. And then joining the Chamber of Commerce is for us an opportunity to assist the chamber in their duty. Talking about duty is helping business players to establish in Zambia based in accordance with the standards and then the needs of the country. And this is mainly why we decided to assist to sponsorship this event, this conference, and then create also visibility for our company because we just joined Zambia.
All right. And for Total, why the interest in sponsoring the event? And tell us about your unique selling points, especially when it comes to, you know, socio-economic existence of Total, who's been in Zambia for a long time.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. Total has been in Zambia for 69 years now, so that makes Total to be part and parcel of the DNA for Zambian energy and industry and economic development, because you cannot separate energy and economic development. So Total is very much part of the agenda for Zambia. With regard to the French Zambia Chamber of Commerce, if you look at its mandate, they collaborate and promote business interests for French and Zambian companies. As we are aware, Total is a Zambian French company, so we felt that we needed to be part of the chamber. And particularly for this event, when you look at the theme, it's talking about economic diversification. And for us, we thought this is the better time to support such a conference because it's just talking to what government agenda is in terms of economic development. There's a lot of talk on economic diversification. So we believe that by sponsoring this event, we are sort of helping, that diversification, taking the first step so that we get the realization and get the benefit of the diversification.
Dr. Fundanga, your research, and you told us about that earlier, how it just incorporates in what is happening and bringing about this event. When you see companies coming on board, Total, Bureau Veritas and others that have come on board, is this some of the realization that you were looking for? Is this some of the collaborations and partnerships that Zambia can actually benefit from?
Yes, we at the Institute for Finance and Economics are excited that we can work with French companies, and I hope we can also work with the companies from other countries, because that's the only way this country can move forward. We need to understand international markets, and the best way we can understand international markets is by working together. Obviously, as an institute, we risk sometimes just engaging in academic talk without any productive outcomes out of those discussions. But with this kind of collaboration, I'm very confident that anything that we decide is something on which the members of the chamber can act upon, and so we can get the economy moving much faster than just having resolutions which end up nowhere. So going forward, you will see that our institute will be doing a lot of things that directly impact upon productive activities. Let me take this opportunity to mention that all things being equal, the next month we are going to have the second e-commerce expo. Last year we had one, the first one, and it was very successful for 2 days. This is the second one, and again, we are trying to bring together the business community. Those who are already, there are already a lot of companies trading electronically now. and we want to ensure that everybody who is interested can come and learn.
Well, I'll take it up from Doctor when he mentioned international market, right? We, Bureau Veritas, our mandate is to help organizations monitoring their risks and at the same time boosting the profitability. By doing that, what we come in with is creating what I'll call this dynamic of quality, sustainability, and growth. You know, we come in helping companies adhering to quality. So whenever we talk about quality, then it helps companies joining the globalization, being able to trade with international organization, being able to export their product and services. And then Bureau Veritas being a certification company, testing company, and also inspection company, we are actually the leader, globally speaking. Our presence here in Zambia is mainly to capacitate, okay, to help, and then also assist in the international trading.
Okay.
Yeah.
How passionate is Total when it comes to partnerships and just, joint ventures or trying to get into collaborations with either local companies or any other company? Yes, today we're focusing on the French, but how open are you to other companies as well?
Thank
Be it
you
startups.
very much. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're talking about startups. I think one of the things that we do as Total Zambia, we've got a program which we call a young dealership program. I mean, it's a unique program where we empower fuel attendants, people who've worked as fuel attendants for a long period of time. You give them a loan and they start running a service station as a businessman, as an entrepreneur. So for us as Total, it's one way of empowering the locals for them to be able to run their own businesses who otherwise do not have capital, to run businesses. The second aspect I would like to talk about is for 3 years now, we've been running what we call the Total Start-Upper. I think the biggest challenge in Africa right now is job creation. And the real alternative to job creation is starting up businesses, entrepreneurship. So the group runs a Start-Upper program every year where we select from business start-uppers, businesses are below 2 years old, and for candidates who are below 35 years, okay? So last year we were able to assist 3 winners, and we don't just give them money. We provide tutorship through incubation, and then we give them money at intervals and make sure that the business succeeds. So like that, I think we are empowering the locals. So we're ready to partner with the locals, and like I said, we're very much part of the business agenda for Zambia as Total.
All right. Very interesting. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, I appreciate you coming through to Business Day and making us have such an interesting chat.
Thank you very much.
And this is where we end our show. Thank you so much for having stayed with us. Make sure you join us next week, Thursday, for more business, corporate, and entrepreneurship information. On behalf of the entire production crew, my name is Judy Ngulube.